They usually have training days or introduction days, or there will be somebody who will explain to you exactly what you need to do, which is basically make sure your horse is sound before you even start. It's absolutely any bridle, any bit, any saddle. Your horse can be shod or unshod. It can wear boots, brushing boots, hoof boots. The only rules really are no draw reins, bearing reins, anything like that. No spurs at all, ever. And your hat must be to current state safety standards. If you ride in trainers, you've got to have a caged stirrup. For a non-member to do a training ride is between £15 and £20 to do one that's not attached to a national ride. It's £20 to do a pleasure ride class at a national ride. And it goes up. A non-member can do a competitive ride up to 40 kilometres for £33, because there is a £5 cap on standard rates to cover insurance. So for members, the lower classes are £28, middle distance are 38, and it goes up to, I think it's about £70 for the race rides. At FEI level, we're actually allowed to charge whatever we like. Endurance, as we know it, it will be where there are mountains and moors and hills, because you are testing the horse's fitness, not its ability to run fast in straight lines.
I'm president of veterinary commission at this ride. I've done endurance riding for many years now as a vet, and I'm here to ensure that the ride runs smoothly from a veterinary point of view. Right, we're basically here to ensure the health and welfare of the horses that take part. So primarily we're here to examine that they're fit to start the ride, and then to continue to monitor them throughout the ride to make sure that they're fit to continue. And just passing the finishing line is not sufficient. They have to still be fit to continue a further distance beyond that. So our examination is designed to ensure that happens. Well, the first thing we do primarily is take a heart rate, which gives us a baseline before the horse begins as to how it progresses through the ride. Then we also look at various other parameters to ensure that metabolically they're in a good state to start. So we listen to their gut sounds, we look at the colour of their membranes, check their hydration status. We also look for wounds, lesions that might deteriorate during the ride, and soreness in the back or any where boots rub. And then we watch the horse trot up and down to ensure that it's fully sound to start the ride. There is also a farrier on site who looks at the horse's shoes to ensure that they're in a fit state to go and do the distance that the horse is entered for. Horses don't have to be shod. They can compete barefoot without shoes at all, or in some cases now people prefer not to have proper shoes on but use one of the many hoof boots that are available. To use as protection for their feet. We don't mind what they use as long as the horse is sound and the hooves are in good condition. If a horse is judged not to be sound, then we use more than one opinion to evaluate that before we decide to eliminate the horse. So the standard procedure for race riding and FEI rides is that if the first vet that looks at the horse trot up is not happy with its action or how it's moving, then the horse is watched trot again with 3 vets looking at it. Those 3 vets independently, without any discussion amongst themselves, tick a pass or fail box on a piece of paper for that horse. The piece of paper is then handed to the president of the grand jury, who looks at them, and the majority decision then wins, and the horses are allowed to continue or not.
I'm president of the grand jury here at Phil Park. The grand jury consists of a number of members basically that look after the running of the FEI part of the ride.
They're okay whether they've come in first, second or third is due to time?
Yes, it is due obviously down to the time, but we're looking obviously that everybody is obeying the rules, They're looking at if there's a problem with the vetting, that things are sorted out there. It's just basically overseeing that everybody is complying to the rules.
I'm Susan Hawes. I'm an international standard endurance rider, and I live in East Sussex and have regularly competed at this ride. It's a combination of getting your horse really fit so that it's able to travel distances of up to 100 miles in a day over very varied terrain. It can be nice flat going or hilly, it can be very wet underfoot, or it can be very dry, but you've got to have your horse prepared for whatever the terrain gives you. Well, obviously you've got to make sure you've got all your tack and equipment ready for endurance riding. When you start out, you can start out with normal tacks, a normal saddle and bridle, but as you get more advanced in this sport, people tend to buy slightly different equipment. So I have a very lightweight saddle, because obviously the less weight there is on the horse's back, the better it is for a long distance. I have plastic flexible stirrups because I find that helps me certainly to rise the trot and creates less. I have a plastic biophane bridle which is very easy to wipe off and converts into a head collar because during vet gates you need to take the horse's bit out of its mouth quite quickly. It's nice if your bridle converts into a head collar, it just saves you an extra few seconds. Okay. I wear riding tights because they don't pinch you. I prefer long boots in case I come into contact with any gates or anything when I'm out riding. I prefer to have some protection on my legs, but some people have will ride in trainers with specially adapted stirrups which allow you to ride in trainers. And it's good to have a number of layers of clothes because it can get very hot or be very cold or be very wet all in one day. So you need to be able to strip off or put clothes on as you need to. And a lightweight ventilated hat, because if you wear a traditional riding hat for a long period of time, your head can get very, very hot.
I crew for my wife Susan and my children who all do endurance riding now. Essentially, when you start endurance riding and doing shorter distances, you don't actually need a crew. You're typically doing 20 or 30 miles, which most horses can do quite happily without any assistance. But as you go up the levels and start doing longer distance, it's important that during the ride you're keeping the horse well hydrated by offering them water as they go around the course. And then you build up to a stage where you have a vet gate to get through. Essentially, in the longer rides where you have to pass a vet, you're being measured on your pulse rate and you're being measured that the horse is still sound. And the best way of reducing a horse's pulse rate is to put water on it and cool it down. On the ride, the aim is not to slow the horses down. You're trying to keep them cool as they go round, so people carry old detergent bottles full of water to slosh the horses down with. Ideally, you also want the rider to keep having a drink as they go around as well, so that they're not exhausted by the time they get to the halfway point. I normally crew by myself. Occasionally, when you've got a bigger event, you want to have several people available to crew. It helps to have somebody to hold the horse's head, somebody to take the pulse rate, and others to keep pouring water onto the horse until the pulse rate is down below 64 beats a minute, which is what you need to do to pass the vet. I would say at most levels of endurance, it literally tends to become a family thing where people's other halves get roped in as a crew. That's often the first way that it turns from being an individual sport into being a family event.
My name's Joan Chisholm. I've been doing it since '84, so before she was born. So my husband crewed for me, when we didn't have any kids, and then when we had the kids, we took them with us. It was easy when they were little, and then they started riding, and my oldest daughter's done endurance as well, and Abby's much keener on it, so she's having a good year with her little pony there, and we've come up from Devon yesterday, so try a few different rides. We try and travel around the country because it's nice to try. It's very different from riding on Dartmoor. 2-day 160. So if all goes well, we'll be out again tomorrow. Well, I usually get her trot across first, but I might have a different idea tomorrow if I get there.
Bye.